All right then, so now what we are going to do is, so we are going to build this complete the company page details where you can display the company informations, overview, why you need to join that company and what are the jobs which is created by the company, and whether if you wish to follow that you can do just by doing by simple click and it will be added to your following list. So all these options. And so far whatever we have completed over here, we finished the search profile, so save the profile, and we finished displaying the jobs over here and apply for that specific job, bringing this model, and if you click this it will apply the job and it will send the email to that specific user that you successfully applied for this job. And you can open this attachments and you can go through the attachments in a new tab over here. Okay, so far we have completed this, and now all we have to do is to get back over here. Let me collapse everything and let me close all. We don't need anything, keep it clean. And let me get into the app dashboards and inside the routes. Now what we are going to do is basically we are going to create a new route over here called companies. So I'm going to create a new route in this called companies, and over here I'm going to create a new file. Sorry, not over here. This is going to have one more folder in it, which is going to be that specific company ID, and inside that company ID I'm going to create a new file called page.tsx. all right, so let's say sfc. This is going to be the company detail page, and let's say div company details, something like that. So save these changes, and now if you click over here it should take the user to that specific company details page. There we go. And if I go to the search and if I click over there, here we are getting the 404 error because I made a mistake over here. So what we need to do is, let's open the job card item. So whenever you click the company name, it's pushing the user to the company instead of companies. So let's say companies, and that will fix that issue. And change over here companies, and that will fix that specific issue. Perfect. Okay, so now let's get back to the page.tsx and let me open this. Okay, so perfect. Now here what we need to do is, so once you are inside here, so I need to access this company ID over here. So let's say async, and over here I'm gonna get the params and this params ID. So it's going to be params, which is inside, it's going to have the company ID. So let's bring that company ID from where? From this specific folder. Copy this, make sure they are exactly the same company ID, which is going to be the string itself. Save the changes. This is how it should looks like. Okay, now I do have the company ID. So right over here I need to access the user ID. So const auth, and I'm gonna get the user ID. Now I do have the user ID, then const company is equals to await from the database. I'm gonna get the company information dot find unique, open it. So I'm going to open an object and use the where condition, supply the ID, which is coming from where? From the params.company ID. So now we have the object. So over here, if I don't have the company, or if I don't have the no, we don't need, yes, if you don't have the user ID, if any one of it is missing, in that situation we need to redirect the user to where? Slash, which means the home route. Okay, then right after here we need to fetch the we need to fetch this jobs as well as, so const jobs is equals to await get jobs, and simply supply the empty instance and the empty object over here. That is going to return you the objects. Okay, so this is going to have all the informations, including your company informations as well as, okay, because we need to supply that information, wherefore we need to, because right after the job section you need to display this job card, right, for that purpose only. So now let's get back over here. So for this I'm just going to say class name flex, of course, it's going to be the column direction. Save it. And inside here, we don't need anything. And I'm going to bring the box from add components. And let's say class name. And margin top is going to be 4. And item, everything should be center. And justify, it should be in the starting point. Okay, and gap, of course, it's going to be 2, and margin bottom, which is going to be 4, and px, which is going to be 2. Okay, so save these changes, and now you will not see anything over there because we haven't add anything over here. So here I'm just going to bring the custom breadcrumb, break it. So for this, what I need to do, first I need to supply the breadcrumb item, so which is going to be array of objects. We need to supply the label, which is a string, so which is going to be the search. Then I need to supply the link for it, which is going to be /search. Then right after here, I need to supply the breadcrumb page. What current page that we are inside the company. So I do have the company. If that company name is there, if it is not equals to undefined, then display the company dot name, otherwise keep it empty. Save it. Now you should be able to see that breadcrumb with along with that the company name over here. Bingo, it's looking perfectly fine. All right, so next what I need to do is underneath it, if you check it out over here, we are having this cover image. So we have to bring this cover image, which is going to be exactly the same way what we did for that job, single page job over here inside this job details page. Nope, inside this page. Nope, inside the job details page only. Where is that image? There we go. See, just like the same way you need to bring this one. So what I'm going to do is, instead of copying it from here, let's recreate it by ourselves. So right after here, I'm going to bring the company image. Oh, come on. There I am typing. Okay, here, company image. All right. So now over here, next, what we need to do is, I'm just going to say company dot cover image. If the company does have the cover image, I'm going to render this division div, and in this div is going to have class name with, of course, it's going to be full. Okay, and everything is going to be as a flex, item center, justified center, and overflow should be hidden, and it should be the relative position, and height I'm going to make it as 80, and it should be it should go in a negative index. I will show you why I need to push this in the negative index, because if I push this in the negative index only, I can bring this layer top of it, because if you check it out, this is overlapping this image a little bit. Okay, so in order to get that design, I need to send this minus 10 layers back. Not exactly 10 layers, you can send it back. So that's the reason I'm sending it back. Okay, otherwise it will be on the top of that layer. So save it. Then inside here, I'm going to bring that image from next image. So this is going the alternative text, which is going to be the company name itself, company name. Then the source is going to be the company dot cover image. Then it should fill the entire stuff. Then the class name, which is going to be width, of course, it's going to be full. Height is going to be full. And object, which is going to be the cover, object cover. So save these changes. Now you should be able to see the cover image over here, which is looks exactly just like this. Okay, so then what I have to do is, so right over here, this is the place where we need to display the company details section. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the company details content page, company details content page over here. So what I'm going to do is, inside this company ID, I'm going to create a new folder called underscore components, and inside this components, I'm going to create company detail content dot tsx. Okay, and let's say this is going to be the use client component, and RAFC, which is going to be company detail contents page. We don't need this one, so delete it, and let's import this one over here. So now you should be able to see the company details over here. Perfect. So now let's jump into the company details, because this is the place where we need to create the props first. So let's say interface, company details, contents, props, open it, which is going to be the user ID. Either this user ID should be a string or it can be a null. Okay. Then what are the things we need? We need to get the company, which is going to be the company itself. And right after here, we need to have the jobs, which is going to be the job array. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now let's destructure it over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend this over here by company content page props, and this should extract the user ID, then company, then jobs. These are all the informations. So you will get this type error because we haven't supplied any of the props over here. So let's supply the jobs first, which is going to be the jobs itself. Then let's apply the company, which is going to be the company itself. Then let's apply the user ID, and which is also going to be the user ID. No issues. Now we don't have the type error anymore. Bingo. All right. So let's get back over here. So first, what I need to do is, so I need to fix this UI part. So for this, let's say class name, width, of course, it's going to be full, and rounded, of course, it's going to be 2XL. Okay, and BG, of course, it's going to be white, and padding, of course, it's going to be 4. And for the time being, I'm going to fix this height as something like this. So what I need to do is save it, and now you will not see anything. So let me change this color for the time being, let's say 200. Now you should be able to see the background color, and now I need to bring this over here. So in order to do that, I'm going to say make this as a Z50, then let's bring top of it minus margin top 18 or 8. This is how it looks. Okay, now we can change this background to white color, and let's remove this height. We don't need that height anymore because height needs to stretch out automatically. Then I'm gonna create one more division, div class name, flex column, and width is going to be full, padding X, it's going to be 4. So this is the place where we are going to display the company details, just like the same way over here. So let's destructure it, and over here, now first what I need to do is let me create a div class name, width, of course, it's going to be full, flex, item center, and justify between, and minus margin top, it's going to be 12. So the reason why, I'll explain why I'm adding this minus top, because I will show you why. Okay, so this is going to be div class name, and flex items, everything should be in the end, and justify everything in the end, and space X, it's going to be 4. Now I need to display the company logo. So if the company does have the logo, then I need to I need to render that division. So here let's create the division, and let's say aspect ratio, which is going to be the square itself. Width, of course, it's going to be auto, and BG, of course, it's going to be white. Height, anyways, I'm going to fix this as 32, and rounded, which is going to be 2XL itself. And I need the border, then we need to keep it flex, then I need to keep it in the center, and justify center, relative, overflow hidden, and padding, everything should be 3. Save the changes, and let me bring it the word wrap so we can see everything. And now you should be able to see that box just like the same way what you have over here. So inside this division box, what I need to do is I'm going to bring the image from next image, and here width, of course, it's going to be 120, height is also going to be 120, and alternative text, which is going to be the company name itself, company name, then source, of course, which is going to be company dot logo. All right, and then make sure it should always display the complete image. So object contain, so save these changes, and now there you should be able to see your company image. Perfect, right? So then what I have to do is I'm gonna bring those company names informations over here. All right, so right after this over here, this is the place where we are going to display the name, contents, etc., something like that. Okay, so let's create a div, class name, flex, everything should be in the column direction, space, y direction, it's going to be 1. Inside here, let's create one more div. Come on, div, let's say class name, flex item center, and gap as 2, enter, and h2. Inside this, we're gonna display the company dot name. Make sure adding the question mark. Okay, so now we have the company name. So this is going to have be class name text, which is going to be text Excel, and font it's going to be sans, and font which is going to be the bold, and text neutral 700, and it should be capitalized. Save it. This is how it should looks like. Then right after that h2 tag, I'm going to bring a paragraph tag with the class name as text muted foreground. That's the text color, and the text size as SM. And inside here, I need to display the followers count. So let me open this, and let me open the bracket with the dynamic string literals, and inside here, open it. So if the company is there, and if it does have the followers, and if we should display the length of that followers over here. Right after this, I'm just going to say following. Save it. Now you are getting the count as 0. Maybe in future, if you're adding, it will increase the count automatically. Or if you simply write the condition, if the length is greater than 0, display this, otherwise don't display it. Anyways, in this case, we can leave it as it is. Okay, so then right after this particular division, let's get back over here, and I'm going to bring a class name, which is going to be text SM and text muted foreground. And inside here, I'm just going to copy some hard coding text, because these things you have to add these things also, this short bio information, and what is this managing consulting, and all these things. So right now I'm just hard coding it. Maybe in future you can update your company page, and you can display all these things directly from your database itself. Okay, so perfect. So this is what it should looks like. Okay, then it should not be there, it should be, wait a minute, this should be displayed. This is the entire division, right? Width, yep, this is the problem. So width and flex are joined together, that's the reason it was not displaying. Okay, now you should be able to see it is displaying over here. Perfect. And now what we need to do is, so right after that paragraph tag where we are displaying that leverage and everything, so right after this paragraph tag, I'm going to bring one more division called class name, which is going to be flex item center, and a gap which is going to be 2. Okay, and make sure it should have the flex wrap as well as enter. And I'm going to bring a paragraph tag. So these are paragraph tag, class name is going to have the border px2, py1, text should be small, and text muted should be foreground color, and then white space no wrap, rounded it should be large, and inside I'm just going to say management consulting, something like that. This is how it should looks. Then I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it and paste it and paste it for 3 more times. The second time, this is going to be IT services and consulting, and third time, instead of this managing consulting, this is going to be private, and this is going to be the corporate, and this is going to be B2B, something like this. This is how it should looks like. Perfect. And then Now we need to bring this follow button, right? So in order to do that, this is the place and this is the division. So let's close this. And right after this division, this is the place I'm going to bring the button. So I'm going to say button at components UI. Okay. So for this button, what I'm going to bring, I'm going to create an on click event, which is going to be on click add remove follower. That's the function name we have to create, which we don't have yet. So let's go ahead and copy this. This is going to be an API action function. So let's say const as an asynchronous function, open and close it. So now you will not get that error. Then for this button, I'm going to say class name, open the CN property from utils. All right then, so let's import this CN, import it and open it, and let me enable the word wrap. Okay, it's already enabled. So for the time being, I'm just going to write the default styles, which is going to be width. Of course, it's going to be 24, rounded full, hover, bring the shadow, flex, item center, justify center, bring the border, and let's say border purple 600 or 500, something like this. Save this. Okay, so then what I need to do is I need to make sure it is going to be if you check it out over here, if you haven't followed it, it is going to be displayed different. For instance, if I click unfollow, you should see this is how it's displayed. But if you're following it, it is going to be displayed in a different way. So in order to do that, first what I need to do is I need to figure out whether the user is follower or not. So what I need to do is right after here, I'm going to say const is follower is equals to, I need to have the user ID. If I have the user ID, then I need to compare it with the company.followers list. In the followers, I need to make sure that includes this specific user ID. If it does, he's the followers. So over here, what I'm going to do is if comma, so here comma add comma, if the user is not a follower, if not follower, then the color should be bg purple 600. And as the same way, whenever you're hovering it, bg purple color should be 700, something like that. Okay, then right after here, use the variant, oops, not variable, variant, not there, over here, variant, which is going to be, if the user is a follower, by default the variant should be the outline, otherwise it should be the default one. Okay, then I'm going to create one more state for monitoring the loading. So use state snippet is loading. By default it is going to be false. So here inside this button, so if it is loading, which means when you click that, if the API still is in action, then I need to display this loader2 with that class name, width of course 3, height of course 3, and animate should be spin. Then if it is not, I need to bring the React fragment. Inside this React fragment, make sure that is being imported over here. And if the user is the follower, is that a case, I need to say unfollow. Okay, if the user is the follower, so what we need to do, if the user is the follower, you need to display unfollow. If the user it's not followed yet, then is that a case, I need to say react.fragment. Inside here, inside this React fragments, I'm gonna bring this plus icon from the Lucid React, and I'm going to bring this text as follow. Oops, follow. And this sign, which is going to be class width of course 3, 4, height of course 4 and margin right as 2. Save these changes, and this is how it should looks like. Okay, so that's perfect. Okay, so now all we have to do is to bring this action. We need to, for this button, we need to bring that live action. When you click it, we need to bring that live action. So what we need to do is, let's get to the API action. Is one second. So let's get back over to the API. Inside the API, we do have the companies and we do have the company ID. Inside this company, I'm going to create a new folder called add follower. And inside this add follower, I'm going to create this route.ts. Okay. All right. So what we need to do is this, basically this is going to be the patchwork. So I'm going to copy this, make sure Control A and Control C, and let's get into the add follower and paste it. Okay, so I don't need this anymore, close it. And over here, let's get back here. So I need the company ID, that's fine, and we are fetching the company ID and everything. If not user ID, that's perfect. If not company ID, that is also perfect. And we are fetching the company ID. So instead of updating it, first what we need to do, we need to fetch the company ID. So close it. So const company is equals to await db.company.find unique, find unique, open it, and here supply var id, which is going to be company id. So now we have that. So here what I'm going to do, if just like the same way, if I don't have the company itself, in that case I'm just going to say company not found. All right, company not found. Perfect. And at the end, right, all the way up here, this is the place where we are going to update the data. So this is the place, prepare. So, or we can say update the data, update the data. So const updated data is equals to open as an object, which is going to be having this. Let's open the schema. And if you go and check your company, yeah, copy this followers, get back over here and say followers, open it. If the company does have the followers, okay, in that case what I need to do, I need to push this user ID. If not, I'm going to create the user ID just like that. So for the very first time, this string is going to be this string of arrays. It's going to be, sorry, array of strings, which is going to be empty. In that case, we are going to push that. If that followers itself, it's not existed, we need to create an array and we need to push that user ID into it. That is what we are doing over here. All right. So then what we need to do now, we need to update the job. So in that case, what we need to do is, so now what we need to do is, so let's get back to our here. So let's say const updated company is equals to await db.company.update, open it. Here let's apply the var condition, var id, which is basically going to be the company id itself. Then you need to make sure that is matching that specific user id as well as, then right after here supply the data, which is going to be the updated data, or oops, spelling mistake, that's the reason it's not showing. Okay, let me copy. Let's change this here, updated data itself, and let's change it to updated data. And this is not double quotes, leave it. Now we have the updated company, and let me copy it and let me paste it over here. All right. So just exactly the same way for we have to remove this followers, right? So in that situation, I'm gonna copy this folder and paste it one more time. This time this is going to be remove follower, and inside this route, what we have to do is, so we don't need this. Basically the updated values is not necessary. Remove that unwanted updated values over here as well as. Okay, so inside the remove follower, now we have the user id, company, and okay, fine, perfectly. So then this is the place where we are updating it, right? So what we have to do is, so this is the place where we need to remove that index from there. So I'm going to delete this and remove user id from the followers. So what we need to do, all we have to get the user index is equals to company dot followers dot index of that specific user id. Find out that index. Then if the user index not equals to -1, is that a case, const updated company is equals to await db dot company dot update, open the object where the id, which is going to be the company id, then supply the user id, then supply the data object into it, which is going to be the followers. So followers, which is open it, open it using the set operator. I'm going to set the followers dot filter, open it. I'm going to get that follower id, and I'm going to figure it out that follower id should not be equals to that specific user id. Then we are going to set that, except that specific id, we are going to set that entire data. Okay, so now we are not getting this accessibility over here. So what we can do is, let's say let updated company, so now it is accessible over here. So this what we can do is JSON. So I'm gonna return this, delete this. What we can do, this is, wait a second, what we can do is, let's delete this. If everything is updated perfectly, so I'm gonna return new next response dot JSON, open it. So JSON dot stringify, open it, supply that updated company. Okay, and along with this I need to send the status, which is going to be the 200 itself. We are getting an error. Why we are getting error for new next response? Else, open it. Let's copy this one more time, paste it. Still we are getting the error. Why it is happening? This is the if condition, right? Yes, that's the if condition. Oh, come on. We don't need this JSON object over there. That's the reason. Because if you're using new keyword, we don't need to supply the that next response.json, since we are using that. So here I'm just going to say user not found in the followers, something like that. Then I'm just going to send the status as what, 404. Save it. This is how it looks like. So basically what we are doing over here for the add followers, we are making sure if the followers array itself it's not existed we are going to create that array and put the user ID over there. If the followers array is there, simply push that user ID. And when it's time to remove it, what we are going to do, we are figuring out the index of the specific user index. Okay, so if it is -1, which means that user index is not there, which means that's the last index. Okay, that means the negative. If you're receiving it as a negative index, so which means that is not there. If not is equal to minus index, which means we have that valid index number in our hand, then we have to remove that user, simply filter it and keep the remaining IDs in that array itself. That is what we are doing over here. Okay, now we have the API actions, and let's get back to our company details, and let's get back into here, and let's say bring the try and catch, and here I'm just going to say console.log, open it, error, whatever the error it is, print is, and toast.error, open it, error us, error, then bring the message. Okay, and finally let's open it, set is loading as what, false, and over here I'm gonna say set is loading as true. Then right after here, if is follower, we need to remove it or else we need to add it. So here await axios dot patchwork, open it, dynamic string literals slash API slash company slash dollar company slash ID, then slash add follower, where it is here, enter, copy it and paste it over here, add the follower. Okay, now what we need to do is, this should be a function, close the function. All right, so right after here, toast.success following, something like that. And if this been completed, this is the place where we need to get the const router is equals to use router from next navigation, and supply simply over here as router dot refresh, open it. So let's get back over here, inspect the elements, click the network, close it. Now if I click this, it is going to say add followers. It is, we got that message, and we are just saying following, and now you should see unfollow. It's giving the messages unfollow, and you should see we are following that specific company now. Okay, so if everything is fine over here, now unfollowed, and this is supposed to be remove follower, where it is remove follower. That's it. Now if I click this guy, he should remove that follower, unfollowed, and it should say follow, and the count is updated. If I click that back, now we are following that user. Perfect, bingo. All right, so now all we have to do is to get back to our we need to bring our tab. So this is the division, it's finishing over here, and right after here I need to bring the tab content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say tab content section. So let me create a new component over here. Let's say tab content section.tsx, use client RAFC tab content section, not necessary, delete it, bring it over here, import it and save it. Now you should be able to see the tab content section. So let's open this tab content section. So inside this tab content section, if you check it out over here, this is what we are talking about. So let's go ahead and bring that. Okay, so let's create the props first. So what are the props that we needed? So basically we need the complete props, just exactly the same thing what we did have over here. Copy it and paste it over here. Instead of this is what we needed. Paste it. So we need to have the user ID and we need to have the company. So import it, and we need to have the job. Okay, so then let's destructure it and display it over here. Copy, paste it, import it from where? From the tab content section props. All right, this is how it should looks. And now all you have to do is to supply all those things over here. Supply the user ID, which is going to be user ID, supply the jobs, and supply the company. Save it. Perfect. Now we have the tab sections completely. Okay, so let's create this for this division. Let's say width, of course, it should be full, and margin top and bottom, it's going to be 4. From the margin top, I'm going to push it a little bit further inside. This is how it should looks like. Okay, perfect. All right, so then I think I did said, okay, so I added somewhere negative margin top, right, in the company. I said I will explain it. I think I skipped it. So for what? Okay, here, see, if I remove this, see what's happening. So it is pushing this content over the all the way to the bottom, but according to the design, I need to bring this logo section also on the top. So that's the reason I added that margin, my negative margin. So now it's bringing this entire section to the top of it. Now it's perfectly fine. Okay, then over here, now what we need to do is, this is the place where we need to bring the tabs. So let's get back to the Shadcn and search for tabs. This is the tabs that you need to install. So copy it and let's paste it. New tab, paste it. Oops, paste it. So it is installing the tabs. Now it is installed. Perfect, it's installed. All right, so what we need to do is, so let's bring all these things, copy this, and let's import it. All right, perfectly, it is imported. Then let's bring this. You can simply copy this from here, copy it and paste it over here. So far, for the time being, let us keep it as it is. Now you can see tag accounts and tabs and everything is been there. Okay. So now what we have to do is, so we have to remodel it because it is need to look something like this. So let's get back over here and let's start writing some styles. So for that, what I need to do is, by default, it's saying default value as account, right? So we need to customize this entire stuffs and everything. So we need to do all those changes and everything. Let's go ahead and do that now. And for this tab list, we do have the tab 3 kinds of triggers, right? So what I can do is I can simply delete this one, and instead of this account, I can change this to overview for the time being. Let's keep it as overview. Instead of fixing this width as 400 pixel, I'm going to make this as width as completely full. Okay, and this tab list, I'm just going to say class name bg as the transparent. I don't need that. Then shadow as medium. Okay, and for the trigger, tab trigger, instead of account, this is going to be the overview. And over here, I'm just going to say class name. Okay, which is going to be so I need to, for instance, if I get back and if I click the inspect elements, and if you check this, see, it is having this data state active. If the state is active, it is looking the different style. So we need to target this state active. In order to get that, what we can do is, I'm going to target this data array. Okay, target the data array. In that, I'm going to say state. If the state is equals to active, if the state is equals to active, then what I need to do, I need to say border. We need to have the border. Let me enable the border wrap. Bring the border, and border bottom should be 2. Okay, border bottom should be 2, and I'm going to copy this, copy. Again, if the data state, if it is equals to active, and I'm going to say border purple 500, border purple 500. Okay. If you save these changes, this is how it should looks now. So for this, now what I need to do is, if I click this, now you can see it is having that border. But what we have to do is, after this, I'm going to say rounded, which is going to be none. So we don't need to make it as a rounded one. Then BG, of course, I'm going to keep it as a transparent BG. So that is no BG. And the text, which is going to be base size, that is how it should looks like. Then font, of course, it's going to be sans. Okay. Then I'm going to make it a little bit tracking wider. Okay. Perfect. Okay. If it is active, this is how it should looks like. See? And even if you wish to remove the shadow also, shadow none. You can keep it in that way. Okay, so the shadow none is coming from where? From the active state. So if you wish to remove that, you can remove that from the active state itself. Okay, now I'm going to copy this trigger, tab trigger, and I'm going to paste it 3 more times. This time, instead of this overview, instead of that, this time this is going to be join us, and inside here I'm just going to say join us. And this time over here, instead of that overview, this is going to be jobs, and this time this is going to be jobs, something like this. Okay, all right, so shadow, which is coming from somewhere else, okay, so here it is coming from here. Let's make the shadow as none. Okay, so here we go. See, join us, jobs. Perfect. Now we have the overview, why join us, and all those things. So let's make this as why join us, something like this. Perfect. Now we have that. Now all we have to do is to bring those content, and we need to display it over here. That is what we need to do. We need to bring those content and we need to display it over here. So in order to do that, first for the tab content overview, we already have the overview, right? Copy it, paste it, and instead of this, I'm going to say if the company does have the overview, I'm going to bring the preview, and let's apply the value, which is going to be the company dot overview. Otherwise, we can simply supply the empty string. Okay. Now you have yourself the company overview here. And let me copy this tab content, replace this tab content. Instead of overview, I'm going to say join us. This time, instead of this overview, I'm going to say why join us. Save it. Now, if you click this, you should be able to see why join us. Perfect. And at last, what we need to do for the jobs, copy this, and here this time this is going to be the jobs section. Make sure, but instead of this, what we have to do is we need to bring the one more component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one more component over here. Let's say job tab content, jobs tab content as a component over here. Let's get back over here and let me create job tab content.tsx. Make sure as a jobs. Okay, so here let's mark it as use client RAFC job tabs content. Oops, not jobs, job tab content. Yes. Now come on, close this and let's import it over here. Perfect. Save it. And now in the jobs tab, you should be able to see that jobs tab content. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to supply the job ID. So let's create the interfaces first. So get back over here, interface of job tab content props. Let's open the interface. Now inside this interface, what are the things that we need to supply? First you need to supply the jobs itself, which is going to be the job array. Then supply the user ID, which is going to be the string, or which is going to be a null. Okay, and let's destructure those things over here. From jobs tab content props, supply the jobs and the user ID. And here what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the page content from where? From the search component folder. I'm going to bring that page content, and I'm going to supply the jobs. Then I'm going to supply the user ID as the user ID. And let me get back over here, and let's apply the user ID, which is the user ID itself, jobs, which is the jobs itself. So here, save it and save it. And you should be able to see the overview and why join us, and you should be able to see the jobs which is created by that specific company. Okay. All right, so it's displaying that entire companies over here, right? It's displaying the entire company, but this is not supposed to be displayed in that way. So what we have to do is we have to fix that, because we need to get into the place where we are getting it. So this is the place where we are getting it, instead of using this get jobs, because basically the get jobs fetching the entire jobs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply use the database object db.company.findMany, open it, and here use the where condition, open it, supply the company. Oops, this is supposed to be jobs, not company. db.job, here company ID. So the company ID should equals to the params.company ID. Then it also need to include the company information. Company should be true, and order by created at in the descending order. So save these changes. Now you should see only the Zoho corporations allowed, not the other companies. Now if I get back to the search over here, and if I click Spotify, that is going to load the Spotify details, and you can see it is not showing the following, an open overview, why you need to join us, and the job created by the Spotify. You can access all these things. Okay, so now we followed this. For instance, if I click this followed, we followed this company, right? So now I need to display that, where I can display that followed company. So that is what we are going to do. We are going to display it in the profile section. If you get back over here, you can see we have the applied jobs sections and as well as the followed companies section. So this is what we need to do. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, so now what we have to do is, let me close all these things, close all, and let me collapse everything. Let me get into the app, dashboard, routes, user, and get into this page.tsx. Here we go. This is the one. Okay, so user profile page, where it is. Yep, user profile page, and right after this resume form. Yes, this is after this resume form. This box has been completed over here. This is the place where we need to display the applied jobs list table. Okay, so here I'm gonna bring that box one more time. Okay, so let's make that. So for this box, what we need to do is, let's say, let me bring it to the top. So flex column. Okay, make that flex column, and item should be in the starting point, and justify everything should be in the starting point. Margin top, it's going to be 12. Then inside this box, I'm gonna bring the h2 tag, which is, okay, we don't have that yet, so which is going to be applied jobs. Save it. So you should be able to see in the profile, you should be able to see the applied jobs. All right, so class name, which is going to be text as to Excel, text muted foreground, and font, which is going to be the semi bold, something like this. Perfect. Okay, and right after this h2, I'm going to create a div, class name, width, of course it's going to be full, margin top is going to be 6, and over here I'm going to bring the data table from the add components. Okay, so I need to supply the columns and the informations and everything. So what we need to do is, first we need to bring the columns. So let's go ahead and bring the columns and everything. So basically what we are doing over here, we are displaying okay, we are displaying the company informations, right? Okay, so what we can do is get into the admin controls and get into the companies, go to the columns over here. We can simply copy this, and now all we have to do is to get back to our page, and here you need to create a new column .ts, column.tsx or ts, or let's keep it as column.tsx itself, because we need to have the HTML coding also in it. Okay, so now what I need to do is I'm just going to paste it over here. So instead of this company columns, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply clone all. Instead of that, I'm going to say applied jobs column, applied jobs column. This is going to be applied, something like this. So we need the ID instead of name. Let's change wherever the term. Okay, we can't directly change like that. So let's change this to title, and let's change this to company. Let's copy and paste it, and let's change this to category. And instead of this, let's schema, and we do have this applied at, where it is, yep, this one. Copy this, supply the applied at. Okay, and then what we need to display the title first. Let's get the title. This is going to be the title, and let's say title. Okay, and we need to make sure to bring this, copy this, and supply. Let's get this header. From this header to, this is the place where it's finishing, right? So copy this header and replace this header itself. So let's delete this. Okay, instead of this, I'm gonna say title. All right, title. Then next, what we need to do, we need to bring the category. So let me copy this category and supply it over here, and let me change it over here as category. Right now we have the category, and just like the same way, we need to bring the button. So let me copy this. For company also, we need to update this button. So let me bring the company, change this to C, and let's copy this applied at, and instead of created at, this is going to be the applied at. Okay, and for this ID and all those things, here we are having this edit icon, but we don't need that edit icon. All I need to bring the link from next link href, which is basically going to be slash search slash that particular ID, because so the user will directly open that specific job. So here button, which is going to be the variant as the outline, or simply keep it as the ghost, and over here size of this button, which is going to be the icon itself. And inside here, I'm going to bring the icon, which is going to be class name, width is going to be 4, height is going to be 4. Save it. Now let's bring the columns over here, dot slash components columns. And then next what we need to do is we need to format this data table information, right? So we need to we need to format this. So what I'm going to do is, so here search key, so basically we are going to search the key based on the company name. So you can, what are the company name? For instance, if I search for Spotify, you can, that is going to display the job which I applied on that specific. So that's the thing, that's the search key we are supplying. And now we need to supply the data. So before supplying the data, what I need to do, I need to format this jobs, because that's how only you need to display the data over here. Okay, because let's get the schema. Inside the schema, in the user profile, you have the uploaded jobs informations, right? So you have the uploaded jobs informations. So what I need to do is, first I need to make sure I need to filter the data. So from in the applied jobs array only, you have that specific job ID. So using that job ID, I need to get the job details. Then I need to filter it. Then I need to format it according to our columns data. So first over here, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna get, so const filtered applied jobs is equals to, I need to make sure whether I have the profile information. If I do have the profile, then using that profile, I need to get that applied jobs, and I need to make sure that length is greater than 0, which means we do have something in it. If that says so, what I need to do is I need to filter. So jobs, we do have, where we do have the data, we do have the data in our jobs. So we don't have the jobs yet in our hand. So what we can do is I need to get the jobs. So const jobs is equals to await db dot job dot find many open it, where user id, supply that user id, then it should include the company as true, then it should include the category as true, then along with that it should order the data by created at in the descending order. Okay, now we have the job details. So let me enable the word wrap. So right after here, if I do have the profile, and if the profile applied jobs dot length is greater than 0, then I need to, from the jobs, with this jobs, I need to start filtering. Jobs dot filter, open it, get every single job out of it. Okay, then profile dot applied jobs dot sum, using the sum function. So basically this function accepts up to 3 arguments. The sum method calls the predictate function to for each and every element in the array until it predictates returns a value which is coercible to the boolean value. So basically we are going to check a condition. If that condition true, it is going to return it that value in that array. Okay, that's what we are using sum. So here I'm going to say applied job, get that if the applied job dot job id, if it is equals to the job dot id which you are getting from the filter, which means the job is applied by the user. So you need to return that job details outside. Okay. So let me make it bigger, so that is getting confusing for me also. Okay, so jobs dot filter, we are getting the job, then we are using the sum function over here, then let's add the question mark, return as an empty array. Okay, for the time being. All right, so don't worry, you will get this error because it is this will be fixed, because over here only we are getting that error. Don't worry. Okay, so here now we are having this. So this is the place where we are applying the filter. So this is going to give you an array, and I'm going to check the map function. So basically what we are doing over here is we are making sure that we have the profile information, and the profile should have the applied job length should be greater than 0, which means the user already applied some jobs. Then what I need to do, I do have the complete job information, and I'm going to use the filter function. From the filter function, I'm going to get one by one job details, and I need to make sure this job ID should be equals to the applied job ID by that specific user. In that case, using the sum method, I'm checking that condition. If the condition satisfied, it is going to return that job outside as an array, right? So I'm going to use the map function. Inside here, I'm going to get that job, return it as an object. Okay, open the normal bracket and use the curly brackets. So spread that complete job information, spread out that complete job. Along with that, I'm going to create this particular applied at field itself, because that applied at field is coming from where? From your profile, not from your job. So I'm going to include this applied at field as well as, so make sure this applied at field, it's been included over here, applied at, okay, which is going to be coming from profile dot applied jobs dot find. Using the find method, we can find that specific ID. So I'm going to get that applied job, because it is going to have multiple applied jobs ID in it. So let's get that one by one applied job, and we need to figure it out that job ID is equals to this loaded job ID inside here. If it is say so, we're going to get that applied at, and we will supply it over here, because we need to get that date when that user is applied the job. So the problem is the applied at details are stored in your profile, but the job details are stored in your job. So what we are trying to do is basically we are trying to join the job and the profile applied informations together and display it in a single table. That's the reason we have to create this much of complex query. Okay, so if none of them are there, the lens is there, simply return it as an empty array. So now we have the filtered applied jobs, the combinations of the profile and your job details. Then right after here, what I need to do, I'm going to const formatted jobs, because according to this columns, I need to format this job, right? Which is going to be the applied jobs columns array equals to filtered applied jobs dot map, get the single job out of it, and open the value bracket, open the object, enter. And here we need to submatch the ID, which is going to be the job dot ID, then get the title, which is going to be job dot title, then company. If the job dot company is there, then use the job dot company dot name, or else keep it as empty. Okay, then category. If the job dot category is there, then job dot category, otherwise keep it empty, name. Then applied at, which is going to be job dot applied at. If I do have the job dot applied at, I'm going to bring the format from date fns, which we already have, open it, then create new date, then supply that job dot applied at field into it, and format this as month, date of that specific year, something like this. If not, leave it as an empty string. Now we have that formatted job, and all you have to do is supply that formatted jobs inside it, save it, and now that is going to bring you that applied at jobs information over here. See, these are the jobs which that specific user applied. If I search for Spotify, nope. If I search for Netflix, is there. Perfect. It is working perfectly fine. And now if I wish to open this, all I have to do is to click this. That is going to take me to that specific job, and you can see that notification. Okay, and now let's get back to that user profile, and this is the place we need to display that followed company's informations, right? So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is right after here, I'm going to bring the box, close it, class name, flex column, item should be in the starting point, and justify should be on the starting point, and margin top, which is going to be 12. Inside here, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to supply this as what followed companies. Okay, so then right after this #to tag, I'm gonna create a division which is going to say a class name as margin top as 6, and width of course it should be full, and it should say grid column 1, and medium device grid column it's going to be 3, and 2XL device grid column it's going to be 6, and gap of course it's going to be 2. Enter. So now we need to figure it out whether we're having the companies. We need to fetch the companies, right? So the followed companies alone. So in order to do that, let's get back to the top, and right after here, const followed companies is equals to await db.company dot find many, open it, and here var condition, use the followers. Follower should has the user ID. So if the companies, whatever the companies is there, if that has this specific user ID, that means this user followed that company. Now we have that followed companies over here. Then order by created at in the descending order. All right, save these changes and let's get back over here. And inside this division now, all I have to do is to make sure that user have something to display over here. So if the followed companies dot length is equals to 0, in that case I need to display a paragraph with no companies followed yet. Okay, that's what we need to do. If it is not, what I need to do is I need to get the React fragments and I need to display it into here and make sure that is being imported. Save it. Okay, so now I already followed some companies. So what I need to do is here I'm going to say followed companies dot map, open it, then get that company out of it and open the render option. Then here I'm going to bring the card, which is from add components UI card, and let's say class name, padding which is going to be 3, and space y which is going to be 2, and relative positions, and of course you need to supply the key. So the key which is going to be the company dot id, and inside here now I need to display the details and everything, right? So first, I let me display the card title. So let's say card title, and over here I'm going to display the company name. Save it. This is how it should looks like. Okay, Spotify and the Zogo Corporation. Okay, perfectly fine. Then top of this title, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the company logo. So we already displayed the company logo in our company details page. So I'm going to copy that from there, and I'm going to make sure that it has that company logo and displayed over here, something like this with the width, height and everything. Save it. So that should display the company logo over here. Okay, perfectly fine. So for this card title, I'm just going to say text LG, text large. So that should display the text a little bit large. Okay. All right. So then what we need to do is right under this card title, I'm going to bring the card description. Okay, and before displaying this, I need to make sure that the company dot description is there. If it does have the company dot description, bring that card description, and just exactly the same way how we displayed it on our job card, I'm going to copy that code and I'm going to display it over here, and let's make sure that is being imported from Lodash. Save it. So this is how it should looks like. Then what we need to do, we need to bring an eye icon. So let's get back over here and bring an eye icon. So right after here, I'm going to bring that I icon, which is basically going to be a link tag from next link, and it should have the href, which is going to be companies slash dollar company dot id. And inside here, I'm going to bring a button and make sure this button is being imported. And inside here, I'm going to bring the I icon, class name as width as 4, height as 4, and for this button variant, which is going to be the ghost variant, and the size of this button is just going to be the icon itself. Save these changes. And for this, I'm gonna see now the I icon is there, okay, which is there, and which is displaying over here. But I need to come to all the way to the at the right side. We can say div class name width full item center, and justify everything at the end, and then paste it over here. Now that should bring your icon at the right side corner over here. All right, now if I click this should take the user to that specific company information, where the user should be able to see that informations over here. All right, so far we displayed the applied jobs informations and the followed companies informations and company details and everything. All right, and now all we have to do is to bring the saved jobs informations by the user, and as well as we need to get back to the admin mode, and we need to display the applicants. If I click this applicants, that should get back to the applicants page, and it should display the applicant details, whoever applied for that specific job. For instance, if I get back over here, if I click this applicants, see, this is what we need to do, and that's what we are going to do now. So let's go ahead and do that now.